Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, obviously Anthony Joshua had to lose a lot of weight, or not a lot, but he had to lose a considerable amount in a rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, in the first fight, he weighed in around 17 stone or just above. In the second fight, he weighed in at 16 stone, 13 pounds. So he did lose a little bit of weight, not a lot, but he lost enough in order to have that athleticism and stamina going late in the fight. And obviously, where Anthony Joshua does have bigger muscles, obviously that then invokes lactic acid, meaning that he will struggle going down the stretch. So that was obviously a conscious decision to be a bit lighter, more athletic, and better on his feet in the rematch, not have so much weight. And again, it was like 17 stone 6, I believe he weighed in for the first Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. So it wasn't really heavy for Anthony Joshua because he's weighed in at like 18 stone before, but still, it was the fact that he needed to lose a little bit of weight in order to make his game plan work. So what he done was cut down a little bit of weight, but I don't think necessarily that is what he was consciously doing. I think that maybe the training changed a bit, and that is the reason why. Obviously, you have to be careful about the amount of calories you consume if you are trying to cut down a little bit. So there was maybe a conscious decision to do it, but I believe that ultimately it was the game plan and the way he was training specifically for Andy Ruiz Jr. That was the reason why he cut a little bit of weight. Not a lot, maybe half a stone, 7 pounds, but that makes all of the difference when you are invoking a game plan such as Anthony Joshua did in the Andy Ruiz Jr. rematch. Now, Anthony Joshua's next fight is Kubrat Pulev, meaning that that's a completely different style. Obviously, Andy Ruiz Jr. is 6'1", 6'2", and like 283 pounds he weighed in for the rematch against AJ. So Kubrat Pulev weighs in usually around 245 pounds, and he's about 6'5" or 6'6", similar height to AJ. So that's a different dimension that Anthony Joshua is going to be in the ring against when he fights Kubrat Pulev compared to Andy Ruiz Jr. Now, if you think that Kubrat Pulev is like 4 inches taller than Andy Ruiz Jr., yet he's 40 pounds lighter and not as fast as Andy Ruiz Jr., that says a lot about Andy Ruiz Jr. How is he like that small, that heavy, yet still that fast? It's unbelievable. And Pulev is completely different to Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz Jr. has that come forward Mexican style, working to the body, and that's not something you see in the heavyweight division. And I think that is what caused Anthony Joshua so many problems. Now, in the lower weight divisions, obviously, you come up fighting like Mexican fighters and that kind of style because there's more Mexicans in the lower weight classes. But in the heavyweight division, there aren't many Mexicans. I mean, not many at all. So Anthony Joshua has not been dealing with that style when he has been having his learning fights. It's been mostly taller guys. And so when Andy Ruiz Jr. was in there with him, he wasn't used to that style. That's why he was asking a lot of questions to his corner, like what shots will catch him and what do I do now? Even before Andy Ruiz Jr. hurt him, he was still asking those questions because he had never been in there with a style like that. Even a training partner, even a sparring partner cannot replicate the style of Andy Ruiz Jr. because he had fighters like Timothy Motton in his camp for the rematch. And he's a good fighter and can replicate that style to a certain extent, but he has not got that Mexican style like Andy Ruiz Jr. Very few do. That is why it is so difficult to get sparring partners in preparation for an Andy Ruiz Jr. fight. That is why Anthony Joshua was probably ill-prepared for the first one. As I said before, fighters in a lower weight class are used to fighting Mexican styles because they do it as they are coming up, because there are more Mexicans in lower weight classes, because they're not necessarily that big, not as big as Andy Ruiz Jr., so ultimately, they are used to it when they get to world level and have to fight that Mexican style, whereas Anthony Joshua had never been in there with a style like that. Obviously, there are styles that are similar, but never a style that is just like Andy Ruiz Jr., powerful, fast, comes forward at angles, and not only that, but has the durability to last the 12 rounds against a powerful puncher like Anthony Joshua. So that was the thing. Anthony Joshua had never been in there with someone who was willing to punch with him, and that is what Anthony Joshua struggled with when Andy Ruiz Jr. got on the inside and started landing those hooks. And Anthony Joshua got caught out hooking with a hooker, and you never do that, especially against someone like Andy Ruiz Jr. on the inside. And that's what happened. So against Kubrat Pulev, it will be a completely different game plan, different horses for different courses. So I believe Anthony Joshua will be bigger and maybe back around the mid 17 stone mark. And the reason for that is because he's not going to be fighting someone where he has to move so much. He's going to have to make slight adjustments, but Pulev is slower with his hands, slower on his feet too. So Anthony Joshua isn't going to have a problem standing there trading with him, because Anthony Joshua is always going to be the quicker and the more powerful of the two. So he can get his shots away and move off at angles, and Pulev will not be able to deal with that. I think that Anthony Joshua will be too athletic, too powerful, and too fresh for Kubrat Pulev. And I think we can expect to see Anthony Joshua maybe back to how he was a bit before, a bit more explosive and a bit more powerful, and a bit more willing to stand there, hold his feet, and trade with the other guy. He cannot do that too much. He cannot get careless against Kubrat Pulev, because he knows what happens when he does that. But ultimately what he needs to do is be a bit more explosive, and it's all right being a bit heavier against Kubrat Pulev, because Pulev has not got that come forward style, not that Mexican style, not the speed of Andy Ruiz Jr., and he's not an inside fighter. In this fight, Anthony Joshua is the better inside fighter to Kubrat Pulev, whereas it was Andy Ruiz Jr. when he fought him. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Anthony Joshua, I believe, will weigh in around 17 stone 6 and maybe a little bit heavier, but ultimately I believe he will be heavier again and not going in light like he did against Andy Ruiz Jr. Anyway, guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.